And then I got out of the shower, in my 20s, late 20s, and I was trying to dry my hair off, and my head just popped, and I couldn't move my neck. Got in the wrong crowd and hung out with the wrong people, and was more interested in having fun, smoking a lot of dope than anything else. So I dropped out of high school and went and sat on my buddy's couch and watched Power Rangers for a year. I went in there, just started screaming because I was so mad at the argument we were having, and then my screams turned into tears, and then I dropped down to my knees, and it's like, I can't do this anymore. So I left my day job and went and worked nights from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., 12-hour shifts, so I could go to school during the day. And so I'd get off at 6 a.m. in the morning, go to the parking lot at Greenville Tech, sleep in the parking lot for an hour or two. Stacia would bring the kids up there, meet me in the parking lot so I could see the kids. And then I'd go to school from like 9 to 5.
We're just getting started here at Man Unchained, and our mission is simple: to bring real stories, deep insights, and the kind of honest talk that helps men finally break free from the things that are holding them back. Our goal is to reach millions of guys across the world. But more importantly, we're here to go after the one. If this is you and this resonates, please subscribe to the channel. It will help us grow the channel. It will help us reach more people. And most importantly, we can't do this without you. It would truly mean the world to us. So subscribe today. Thanks. So welcome you to the Man Unchained, episode 4,764.
I feel amazed to be here for that. It took you 4,000 people just to get to me. Oh, I feel impressed. I'm worthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So today I'm with a dear friend of mine, Dr. Josh Darrah. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, man. I was looking it up before I came in today, see how long I've known you, and I've known you for 15 years.
15 years.
2010 is when we
crazy?
met. Yeah, 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Funny story about this guy. Seriously, before, I know we don't want to take up your time, but first time I went out and hung out with this guy and his family, he got mad and threw a pizza at a guy outside the Bilo Center when it was called the Bilo Center. So anyways, that's for another podcast. You remember that? Your blood sugar drop?
I did. Yeah, I did.
This is my type of people.
And it was
He's supposed to be a church guy.
And it was in a Christian concert.
It was a Christian concert. Yeah, I remember that guy. Anyways, go ahead. I digress.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. Oh my gosh. For people meeting you for the first time, you've not always been a doctor.
No.
Tell us about your high school day.
Oh, you're just getting right in it, aren't you?
I'm getting right in it.
All right, no, good deal. So I actually was in high school 10th grade 3 years before I finally just dropped out.
3 years?
3 years. I was in 10th, my third year in 10th grade, I said, this is not for me, and I dropped out. So yeah, that's the pre-life of Dr. Darrah. And which I love to talk about because, sometimes we like to portray ourselves as these perfect, successful people, but in reality, we all have our crap in our closet. And so, long story short, man, I was just got in the wrong crowd and hung out with the wrong people, and was more interested in having fun, smoking a lot of dope than anything else. Just being transparent, man. So I ended up dropping out of high school, third year in 10th, failed two times. Third year, I said, no, this is not for me. So I dropped out of high school and went and sat on my buddy's couch and watched Power Rangers for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you end up going back?
No, well, so what ended up happening is I was dating my high school sweetheart. We were still together.
Okay.
And so Stacia and I have been together 30 years now. So we started dating in my first 10th grade year. And so long story short, man, I knew she was the one, even though I just, we were just having fun doing whatever the case is. And she got pregnant. And I was like, I have to grow up and actually do something with my life. And so we got engaged, got married, held my daughter for the first time and said, this is not the life I should be living. If I want to support a family and a daughter, I got to get my crap together. Got my GED. And then so I couldn't even get a job without a high school diploma back then.
Right.
Other than a gas station or something. So long story short, I got my GED, got a job at a decent place, and then really quick realized I needed to make more money. So then I decided to go to college on the GED. And so I went to night school for 4.5 years to get a bachelor's degree while working full time.
Working full time with a wife.
With a wife, a new kid, another one on the way after a few years in. And So yeah, completely different. And then 6 months before I was supposed to graduate, I decided I didn't want to do what I was in school to do, which was business management. Which is crazy from what I came from, the way I was. But long story short, I came home and I told my wife, I said, hey, I know I'm 6 months away from this 4.5 year journey we've been on, you sacrificing me being at school every day, working during the day, not seeing you and the kids, but I think I want to be a chiropractor. And so she cried for a couple of days. But being the supportive wife she was, she supported me. She supported me through everything. She's an amazing woman, by the way. And long story short, I went to chiropractic school for another 3.5 to 4 years. So a total of 8.5 years of school. Yeah.
So if I remember the story correctly, like you grew up way out in the country, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And chiropractic, like where did that come from?
So when I was 9 years old, I dove into a swimming pool and almost broke my neck because I was tall back then. And then when I hit, it just compressed everything. And then I got out of the shower, in my 20s, late 20s, and I was trying to dry my hair off and my head just popped and I couldn't move my neck. And I called my mother. She said, go to the chiropractor. I said, I ain't going to this crazy chiropractors. They're quacks. And so, but I went because my mama told me to. And I went and he adjusted me once or twice and I got all the range of motion in my neck back. And I was like, wow, this is life changing. For me, it was. And so I looked into chiropractic and prayed about it and everything else. And long story short, I signed up for chiropractic school. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So married, you're going to college, you're working during the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to chiropractic school and working.
Yeah.
Before
I could even get into chiropractic school, I needed all these science prerequisites that I didn't have in a management degree.
Yeah.
And so, but at the time, Greenville Tech had a fast track program where you could go for 3 months straight and get all these science prerequisites to get into Sherman College, which is the chiropractic school. So I left my day job and went and worked nights from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., 12-hour shifts, so I could go to school during the day. And so I'd get off at 6 a.m. in the morning, go to the parking lot at Greenville Tech, sleep in the parking lot for an hour or two. Stacy would bring the kids up there, meet me in the parking lot so I could see the kids. And then I'd go to school from like 9 to 5 and then get off at 5, go back to work at 6 and work 12 hours. And I did my homework at work on my breaks and everything. So 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night for 3 months straight, living in a parking lot in Greenville Tech. So she would bring, and I'd shower like twice a week, come home to shower. That was crazy. She raised my kids. I mean, again, superwoman.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But she just put, she
most wives are.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like the world we're living in, most people are not willing to pay that type of price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everybody wants the easy way. You did not take the easy way.
No, we didn't.
What drove you?
My daughter. Like I say, I was a high school dropout pothead. Don't get me wrong, I had great parents, don't get me wrong. But kids do what we want to do, right?
Sure.
And so I just chose to take the wrong path. And when I held my daughter for the first time in that hospital, I said, hey, I want to be successful and provide for her and my wife at the time. And so I just got that trajectory. Hey, I want to do this. And so that's where the 4.5 years of night school came in. And then, hey, I want more than just that. I can do bigger things and I want to do what I felt like I was called to do. And so that's where the 3 months of sacrificing in the parking lot and then going to school, chiropractic school for almost 3.5, probably close to 4 years, while Stacy stayed at home and raised the kids. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm sure during that whole time from going from being a sleep on somebody's couch, pothead, to deciding I want to be an amazing husband and dad, there's probably some beliefs you were believing prior to that. How did you identify those beliefs and then change?
It was, so we had been married for 7 years and, we've been together about 7 years. I can't remember exactly, but about 7 years. I remember that 7-year time and our marriage was on the rocks because, you have ups and downs in your marriage. And we were fighting and arguing all the time about stupid stuff. And then one day I was at work and we got in a big argument. This is before cell phones were really popular. So I remember on the office phone calling her out there in the plant. I worked at Chiropractic in Simpsonville, and they had this office phone out. They had this warehouse phone out on the wall, and I just go over there and talk to her all the time when I could. And we're fighting over something stupid, like we had been seemed like for months. And I got mad, hung up the phone on her, went outside, and there's these big silos outside where they run this resin through to make the plastic at the company I worked at. And I've been inside them before, and they're super loud. You can't hear anything when you go in, you shut the door behind you because there's these vacuums that suck everything out. I went in there, just started screaming because I was so mad at the argument we were having. And then my screams turned into tears. And then I dropped down to my knees, and it's like, I can't do this anymore. And I said, Lord, and I wasn't that big of a religious person. But I said, Lord, you can have my life, my marriage, everything. I'm done with it. Have my kids, my future, whatever. And as soon as I said that, everything just stopped. And it was almost like everything went silent in that thing. And it was just peace. And I stopped crying, got off my knees. I immediately went back out to the warehouse, picked up the phone, called Stacy, my wife. And for the next 5 or 10 minutes, I just threw up everything I've ever done wrong to her, and asking her for all this different forgiveness and all these different things. And I swear 5 or 10 minutes, I just threw up everything. Right. And then she started crying. And for the next 5 or 10 minutes, she threw up everything on me that, she had been through or been engaged in with me. And then ever since then, man, it's just like, everything came together, and we had a trajectory and a plan, and we've had an amazing marriage, man. Now it's always up and down, don't get me wrong. But now we focus on it more, and there's certain things we've developed over the, 28, 30, well, we've been together 30 years, been married 28 years, that we've developed to make sure we have a strong marriage. So we have these certain things that we do throughout our marriage all the time to make sure that we're connecting. And
give us some examples.
Date night, man. It's the date night is the gold. So we make an effort every single Thursday night for as long as I can remember to have a date night. We don't do it on Friday or Saturday because Friday and Saturday things always come up. The kids come over. You're out with your buddies. It's typical. Everybody goes out on Friday and Saturday night, goes to the movies, out to dinner, whatever the case is. So Thursday night, which is our night, we go out every single Thursday night. Been doing that for years, and we call it our date night. And certain restaurants we go to all the time, same routine, but it's our night, our time. We go. Our kids know not to call us. Our kids know not to come over to the house when we come home after date night. It's our night, And so
we set the expectations.
We set the expectations. Yeah. And we're blessed where our kids live. We have a big family compound set up. We have a bunch of property. So our kids live on our property in different places. And so they know not to come over on Thursday nights, even if mom and dad are home, because it's our date night. And so Thursday nights is our date night. And I'm the type of person that I suck at listening. I'm just like, do, right? And so on Thursday night, my thing is I have to listen. And so that's why it works so good for her and I, because she's a great listener and has a big heart, and I'm not that's not me. We're complete opposites. And so on Thursday night, I sit there and listen to everything, and I hardly speak. She just speaks about everything going on with the kids, the grandkids, what's going on in her week. And it's a time for her to unload and for me to actually be present and listen to everything she's doing. And so that fills up her love tank, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it's a coordinated thing we do every week to make sure we have a strong marriage. Yeah.
So if it's your time to be quiet, which you struggle at being, because you just want to go, do. So are you doing anything to prepare for that during the day? Like, you're going to be quiet. Or are you talking to yourself in a bathroom?
No, I just know to sit there. I drink a couple glasses of wine and it chills me out, honestly. So we get there and I order a couple glasses of wine and she knows about 1 or 2 glasses of wine in. I'm a good listener.
Yeah.
And so she just tells me everything and I listen to her and support her. And because I'm a fix-it type of person. So when she tells me during the week, she'll tell me a problem and I immediately want to fix it.
Sure.
And sometimes your wife doesn't want you to fix it. She just wants you to listen to her, right?
You're right.
But I'm a horrible listener. I'm just like, oh, well, quit worrying about that. Just go do this, and this, and fix it, or go get this. And that's not what she wants.
Yeah.
So I focus on her on date nights to be a good listener myself. So yeah.
Okay. So date night, you're listening.
Yeah.
What else? Give us some more nuggets.
So I learned a long time ago from a guy we met at church. Remember Gene? From Crossroads, Bridgeway.
Oh yeah,
way back. Yeah, he has a ministry, a marriage ministry, and so we showed up at one of his retreat weekends one day. And so we learned a bunch of stuff there. And that's a huge nugget. Is what we learned was, that, I have a past, she has a past. And so your marriage is the sum of your past, regardless if you want it to be like that or not, right? Because as kids, we're programmed when we see our mom and dad or our parents fight or argue, that first response. So that first time, say my dad said something to my mother, say my mother snapped at him, or my dad snapped at my mother, that's my subconscious as a kid picked that up the very first time it happened. So naturally in our subconscious, as we get older and we get in a relationship, when we go through the similar experiences we saw our parents go through, we react the same way we saw them react, regardless if it was right or wrong.
Sure.
Right? It's that generational curse, that's why, abuse is just generational, right? Until you decide, hey, I want to change this. So, so we learned that the way she was raised with her mom and dad and what their relationship was, and the way I was raised with my mom and dad and how their relationship was, we knew we were both bringing those problems to our marriage. And so that's why she's the way she is, and that's why I'm the way I am. And so we had to learn really quickly that we're just repeating our parents, if that makes sense.
Right.
And so we sat down and we said, okay, this is what I enjoyed about my parents' marriage or relationship, and this is what she enjoyed. This is what she didn't enjoy, and this is what I didn't enjoy. And so we literally made an effort to change those reactions, if that makes sense. Because we just repeat. Your kids are just like you because they repeat how they saw you. Growing up, right? They say the things you say, they act the way you act, they do the things you do because that's what they learned growing up. And so your marriage is the same way. You're the sum of the two relationships that you grew up with. And so we recognized that early and said, hey, we don't want this in our marriage. We don't want this in our marriage. So let's take this out. And so when that happens, let's react differently. So I'm not going to react the way my dad or my stepdad reacted, or how she's not going to react the way her mom reacted to her dad or whatnot. If that makes sense.
I think what's amazing is you're talking about a lot of things where you are trying to figure out how to phrase this. You want to make things work.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just me, but I've been around a lot of guys. It's my way or the highway, and they're pretty stubborn, and they're going to do what they want to do when they want to do it. What something somewhere along the way you had to have had a mind shift.
Yeah,
because most guys,
ego, right?
Where did you have a mentor?
I did, yeah. And so I had a mentor, Dr. Greg, years ago, and he taught me something called present time consciousness, right? And it's just being aware of your environment, the settings, the people in the room, your reactions, being emotional maturity, if that makes sense, emotional intelligence, as he called it. And so that's something I learned a long time ago for my business and being a business owner. And so why not? Hey, if it works that good in business, and that emotional intelligence and that present time consciousness, why don't I use that at home? And so I've had to use that at home as well. So
wow,
that was a nugget from a coach. Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty amazing.
Yep.
Wow. Because I remember being young and it was my way.
Yeah.
Or the highway.
Exactly. And it is for most men. Right. That's why you got to work on it, man.
You got to work on it.
Exactly. Right. And those personality traits come from seeds from your childhood, whatever that was, that triggered that. Right. And so that's why you are, who you are. And so I learned just got to be yourself.
Yeah. I actually had a question here, about the beliefs, because we're kind of talking about beliefs right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we all get these beliefs either from family or friends growing up.
Mm-hmm.
What was the turning point, and how were you able to let me say it again. How were you able to figure out, I have a belief issue. Now I'm going to unbelieve those things. Does that make sense?
Like the way I was acting, you mean?
Yeah.
Counseling the marriage counselor, is that what you're looking for? So just marriage counseling, realizing, hey, I'm acting this way because this is the way I was raised. and she's
Yeah.
acting that way because that's the way she was raised, good or bad, either way. And so just recognizing that and then saying, hey, if we're going to have a strong marriage, and which we want, you know, we've been, you know, she's the only one I've known since 10th grade, you know, for crying out loud, you know, so it's like, she's all I know. So if she's all I know, then why not make it work?
Yeah.
Be lucky with it. And so, which is unheard of these days. People aren't together that long. High school sweethearts come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we've been
That
lucky.
is amazing.
Yep.
So, you were telling us about the first time you were holding your daughter.
Mhm.
It really changed something inside of you. Can you tell us what happened in that moment?
Yeah. So I started crying, like a lot of the guys do. A funny follow up every time I have three beautiful kids, by the way. They're two daughters and a son. They're all grown, and now they're providing me grandkids, which I'm loving. So I experienced that with every one of them and their grandkids, just holding them that first moment and just blocking everything else and holding them and looking in their eyes and saying, "Wow, you know, the mother and I created this, and." This is what I do, and so my kids are the world to me, and so, you know, and I'm at a place now in life, where I'm able to spend more time with them and spoil my grandkids that I didn't do in the early years because I was in school so much. So now I'm trying to play catch up and make up on that, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
spoil the heck out of my grandkids and my kids, because all those years I was in school for 7.5, 8 years straight, and they were raised by their mama, you know, who was struggling at home too. You know, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So we had lots of struggles, and I remember her telling me stories about standing in lines just to get money to pay the power bill because we were poor, because I was in school and I wasn't working in chiropractic school because I couldn't, because I was in school full time, and she's trying to make it. And so, yeah, getting groceries from the back door at the church we were at the time. So she struggled and put up with a lot. And so I realized, hey, you know, if this works, which it did, then now I got to provide the world for her and my kids. So, and that's where I'm at in this season of my life. Yeah.
I remember when we had Keaton. He's my firstborn, and it's the same thing as I was fortunate I was able to deliver all three of my kids. And I remember the first time holding Keaton, something just broke.
Yeah.
And it changed the way I thought about the future.
Yeah.
And really started caring about the future and really caring about taking care of my wife, whereas before it was all about me.
Yeah.
There's something so beautiful about holding your child.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Especially right out of the womb.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Let's switch a little bit. Let's talk, because there's gonna be a lot of guys watching this that are business guys as well. You've been, like, in my opinion, super successful as a chiropractor. I've been around chiropractors my whole life. My mom worked for one, and then I've been to one since I was 8 years old. And it always seems like a lot of those guys struggled. Maybe they didn't, but it just kind of seemed that way. Tell us more about your success as a chiropractic, and what does that look like? Is there any encouragement you give other people in whatever business they're in?
What do you mean, like success? Like, define success, because it's different for all of us. I mean, like,
I've kind of seen it from different angles. Like, I've seen success in the way that you approach the body, and for me, I think I told you the first one that actually has truly helped me. And then I've just heard different testimonies from different friends we know that go to you,
right,
who's had success in their body, but also every time I go there, like, you're packed, man. You're busy. I've been before when there's only been one person or nobody, and you're like, okay, it just feels a little drip and dreary here. And your place is never late. It's always buzzing with activity. And
I guess some of that comes from, so a lot of people told Stacy and I we were crazy. They told Stacy, my wife, that she was crazy for putting up with me in school. They told me I was stupid for going to school full time when I had kids. They told us we were doing everything wrong because we were high school sweethearts, dropped out of high school, got married. As soon as Stacy graduated, we got married, right? And so we did everything backwards. And so family, friends, our peers, everybody said we were crazy to do what we were trying to do. If you got to work, you got to support your family, blah, blah, the typical stuff. And so we had no choice. So when we opened up our doors, it was like, F the world. We're going to be successful and prove everybody wrong. And so literally, within 3 months of our doors being open, we had the largest practice in the upstate.
Wow.
It was just because we just were determined to prove everybody wrong.
Wow.
And so that's what we did.
Wow.
And so that I guess that was a driving force behind that.
Yeah.
Yes, we were comfortable that we just didn't want to be comfortable. We wanted to be ultra successful in what we did. And live the life and provide the life we have been able to for our kids, and now have the option. I'm 48 years old, and I work because I want to work, but we could retire if we wanted to, but we're still at it. So, I don't work as much as I used to by no means, but I got some really good doctors and associates come through there. But yeah, so it was more just to show everybody else we could do it.
Yeah.
And provide. So yeah.
Well, I thought was something that was interesting also is a lot of business entrepreneurs or people wanting to start a company, they're shoestringing it. They're doing whatever they can to get it going. And a lot of them don't want to take any advice. Or learn from anyone.
Mistake. Yeah.
But you jumped right in with a franchise,
coaching. Yeah, man.
And
I tell you, I spent $300,000 in coaching in the first 4 years of being open.
Wow.
But it made me 3 times that in 5 years. We were 7 figures within 5 years, taking home. And so I'm a wholehearted, people told me I was crazy for spending so much money on coaching. I was just gobbling it up, man. What you charge? I don't care. I'll pay it. So I found the most successful people in my industry in the country, and wanted those to be my mentors, and paid them really good money to mentor me, and it paid off. So it was worth every penny of it.
Yeah, how did you come to that conclusion? Because most people, especially from your background, working your tail end off, trying to support a family, like you didn't have a poverty spirit about you. You couldn't have.
Yeah.
Not to want to fork out that kind of money. Like, how do you get over that? Because
I was determined to be successful, and I just went out on faith that it was what I was supposed to do, man, and I was willing to pay the money to do it. And that's what I did.
You believed in it.
I believed in myself. Yeah, I believed in myself because my wife believed in me, and I didn't want to let her down or prove everybody else right. So I wanted to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah,
and so I just went all in with it, man. I did it.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Is there any other than join a coaching program? Is there any other business advice that you've learned over the years that, like, man, I wish?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, your significant other or your partner in life has to be supportive of what you do. I see this all the time, like in young doctors in my profession, where their spouse at home doesn't believe in what they do, and so they're always wrestling. And so you got to have a supportive partner, and balance it out. Don't get me wrong. Our first few years in practice, I was super busy, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to work my hours. So I spend more time with my wife and kids and grandkids now during the week than I do in the office. So my office is literally not even open. Oh, I don't need to share all that, but literally it's not open enough to justify anybody else being there. But I spend 90% of my time with my wife and kids and grandkids now, and only a fraction of it at the office.
Wow.
And we've made it work that way. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout our talk, you've brought up just little bits and pieces. You're a man of God.
Mm-hmm.
Love Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more.
Well, I was raised Catholic, which is complete opposite of what I am today.
Wow.
So nothing wrong with the Catholic faith. I was raised Catholic. That's what my mother was. But there was just a point in my journey where stopped going to church, and again, in high school and got wild with the wrong crowd, and again, smoking dope on the couch watching Power Rangers. And so that does a lot to your
I just don't
spiritual
see you
growth.
being a Power Ranger guy.
I know, right? He was making sandwiches this tall and eat them. And he's smoking more pot. Anyway, that was then. And so obviously went away from church for a while. And then I married a girl that was Presbyterian. So here I am,
Oh.
Catholic, and my wife's Presbyterian.
Okay.
And so her church thought my church was the devil. Then my church thought she was going to hell because she wasn't Catholic. And so it was just, it was like like literally my church wouldn't marry us, and her pastor refused to marry us because they thought I was a part of a cult. And so we ended up finding some Baptist preacher to marry us because either one of our churches wouldn't marry us because of our different faith backgrounds. And then we said, you know what? If they're both of our denominations are going to act like this, we don't need either one of them. And unfortunately, that's how it is. Most people, they get hurt by the church, not by the Spirit and by God, but man hurts them because of the way the church is. And so they turn against religion.
Yeah.
And so that's what it did for both of us at our churches. And so long story short, we went to another church that was sort of a meet in the middle. And then when we went down, I went down to Florida with my family for some coaching right out of college. And we got turned on to a non-denominational church, Spirit-filled church down there.
Okay.
And so fell in love with that, man, singing, raising your arms and worshiping and Holy Spirit and moving through the room. And it's okay to raise your hands up and shout and sing, and fell in love with that. Came back, left the church we were at because that's not the way that church was. And found a church called Crossroads in Simpsonville where I met you, actually, I believe.
Yeah.
And so been part of those Spirit-filled churches, non-denominationals ever since. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. And I noticed for years you had worship music playing all day long in your
clinic.
Every time I'd come in, it would be playing.
Yeah.
What is there a defining moment that you just really locked in with the Father? Like you just knew he was your father, and not just because I heard it because I went to mass or whatever.
That moment in the on my knees in the silo when me and my wife were talking about getting a divorce around our 7th year of marriage, whatever the case is, when I dropped on my knees and said, "Hey, take everything," and when he did, and then after that, it was never the same.
So I gotta dive in. We gotta dive into that quick because sometimes you get around people and you need to have the pastor there, or you need to have some elders or some deacons praying over you. Like you were alone
on my knees,
yourself,
crying and screaming, and then tears in a silo outside of a manufacturing facility in Simpsonville, South Carolina.
And the God Almighty met you.
Met me right there. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And so, and I look back and like, man, no wonder my marriage sucked for so long. Cause it was, I had to go through that trial in that, so I could share that testimonial story right now with you. Hopefully help somebody listen to this or watching this. And so my wife said a thing the other day. I overheard her talking about it, but she said she told somebody we can't interfere with our kids' testimonials because they're right now at this age, they're creating their testimony. Yeah. And so, we want to protect them and cover them and everything else, right? And make sure they make the right decisions and they're safe and they're perfect straight A students and they don't party and use drugs like we did and all these other different things. But she's like, no, you can't interfere with your kid's testimony because one day they're going to have a testimony like you are and they can share it with somebody. So that was powerful. Yeah. So all those things I went through, all those things my wife went through leading up to moments like this made it all worth it. Yeah.
Wow. So you didn't have to clean up, take a shower. You didn't have to go to mass.
I didn't have to go to church, man.
The Lord just
showed up right there
because your humility.
Yeah.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
So many people just miss it because they think the Lord's mad at them all the time.
Yeah.
And there's something about honesty.
Yeah.
And when you're honest with yourself and honest with Him, and then you were honest with your wife.
Yeah.
Which unlocked you guys, or unchained. Unchained you and your wife because of your ability to harness your ego and your pride and like, look, I need you, God.
Yeah.
I need you. There's something just
that's how it works.
Amazing about if we would just do that, the
Yeah.
Father just meets us every time.
Yeah. Wherever you are, whatever you're going through.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you could go back and speak to your 25-year-old self, what would you tell your 25-year-old self today?
Oh, 25.
Okay, 18.
18, that's easier.
Okay.
Stop smoking so much damn dope. Go ahead and finish high school and get started earlier. Yeah, imagine where I'd be now.
Right.
I could be light years ahead of where I am now. But yeah, so no, I mean, I've been asked that question before, and honestly, I don't think I do everything different, Bo. I mean, I was on the path I was on, and God had a purpose for me. And like my wife said to that person of the day, I was creating my testimonial,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've been able, and what's cool because I've been able to, my kids, funny story, my kids never knew I dropped out of high school. Okay. They didn't never see this part of their dad. But when each one of them graduated, because the last thing I'm super open with my kids now because they've graduated, they're figuring out themselves and everything. So they know everything about me now, but they didn't know this until each one of them graduated. So like when they would graduate high school, we'd be at a dinner or I'd take them somewhere, just, myself and my either my son or daughter, and I shared all this stuff that I've shared with you with them. So that way they understood that I was a real person and it was okay to fail and not have so much pressure on them. Because
Yeah.
only thing my kids know is, that growing up is seeing their dad as a successful chiropractor, whatever the case is, right?
Right.
They didn't see all that pre-stuff because they were too young, or they saw, they just didn't recognize it, or we hid it from them because they're kids.
Yeah.
And so each one of them, when they graduated high school, I would tell them, hey, by the way, I dropped out of high school. And so blah, 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 and told them my story. But don't tell your brother or your sister. And so supposedly they kept it secret. And then when the next one graduated high school, I told my son. And then when he didn't tell his sister, supposedly, and then when my youngest daughter graduated high school, we were out to dinner, just her and I told her my whole story again. And so...
Yeah.
And I think doing that and sharing and being honest with with your kids really solidified and made that extra bond, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important. I think one thing you're saying is that failure does not define a person.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But so many times in the moment,
Yeah,
when we failed at something or we think that defines us and that becomes our identity.
mm-hmm.
And you've been able to break through that. I'm sure that it wasn't a snap of a finger or anything, but you've been able to break through that and say, this is me being a country redneck, pot smoking, couch sleeping. That is not who I am.
Right.
You've not allowed that to hold you back
Right.
from your calling and what you feel like the Lord put on your heart to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to encourage anybody out there that's going through things. Your failure does not define you.
No.
In fact, I think it strengthens us.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
110%. It did myself. And so for sure. And that's why I shared it with my kids. Like, hey, man, you're going to fail in life, but don't give up. If I can do it and your mother and I can last all these years and go through everything we've gone through, if we can do it, you and your spouse can do it too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me something fun about yourself.
Fun. I love to farm. I have cows, sheep, goats, pigs, chickens.
Wow.
I spend more time working out with my animals than I do in my office these days. So I love my farm. If it was up to me, I would just do that full time and, just sell everything I own and be a homesteader.
Wow.
So that's the season my wife and I are in right now. And so, we love our animals and we love being outside and doing that.
Now didn't you build your house?
Build everything but the house. Yes. Yeah.
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 Because I know you're pretty hands-on, which
Yeah.
I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah. We built my son's house, currently building my daughter's house on our property now. And then we'll build my third daughter's house.
Like you're physically out there doing the work.
Yeah. For my son's house, we cut down the trees. He wanted a log cabin in the woods by a creek. So we cut down trees in our woods by the creek and we built him a giant log cabin like Lincoln logs. We cut them down, dried them, skinned them, stacked them up. When he was 16 years old, we started that project.
Wow.
When he was 20, took us 4 years, just him and I working on it every Friday, 1 day a week, every week for 4 years. When he started when he was 16, when he was 20, he moved in, fully paid for, giant log cabin out in the woods. That was his 4-year education. That was his college education.
Did that bring a bond between you and him?
It did, man. It did. Because we don't have time to get in all this, but I was divorced. My parents were divorced when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And so my dad has always been in another part of the country. And so my stepdad did raise me, don't get me wrong, but as a male that, lacking that interaction with your true dad, right? And don't get me wrong, I have an amazing stepfather that raised me, took me fishing, did everything, right? But when your biological dad is so far away and you don't see him but maybe once a year or sometimes years, that affects your relationship with your own son, right?
Yeah.
Goes back to what I said. Hey, I'm not bringing that crap into my relationship with my son. I'm going to do everything I can to be an amazing father to my son. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And so, so for 4 years, we built that cabin together. And I think it brought us a lot together, tremendously. And so lots of pride in that cabin. So
yes. Yeah. Wow. You always hear about dads like maybe buying an old beater.
Yeah.
And they're going to redo it together and then never get around to it.
Exactly.
You did it.
We did it, man. It was a house. But it was a house. And so we just paid for it as we went over 4 years, and did all the work ourselves. And so it wasn't like it was super expensive to do. It just took lots of time.
Yeah.
And so I invested in him, he invested in me. And so we just built this beautiful cabin together that he'll have for generations. That thing will outlast my giant house on the other side of the property. That was stick built. So
yeah, that's so good.
Yep.
So you've talked about a lot of things you've had to overcome, and if you're like me, what I've noticed is when I've been able to overcome something and think that I've got victory over it and woo, and then you're just cruising in life and all of a sudden you get a little tap on the shoulder and it's there to remind you or it tries to woo you back in. I'm sure you've had some of those in your life. What are those things and how are you able to continue to be a champion over those areas?
Wow, that's a loaded question. See what I want to share and what I don't want to share.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No,
I mean, I'll call you out.
Yeah. No, that's good. No, we're good. No, we're good. You're good. You're good. So I guess complacency sometimes.
Okay.
It's easy to go back and sit on the couch and smoke dope and eat sandwiches. I'm not going to lie, right? But you can't do that.
I've never done it.
You've never done it, right?
No.
And so, but when you have a family and kids, you can't do that. But when you get comfortable in life and life gets too comfortable, it gets boring. And when it gets boring, you don't push yourself as much and you don't strive to be as successful as you could be. And so things start to slip in all areas of your life. And you get distracted, especially as men, we get distracted, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a project guy. I always have to have a project. You ask my kids, what's my bone? Dad always has to have a project. Or my wife, he's always building something or doing something. We're building a house for my other daughter right now because I needed a big project, right? And so
you can do my next house.
I know, right? And so if I don't have a project, as men, we get distracted, right? And so it's Facebook. And that turns into scrolling, looking at half-naked women. Then it turns into porn for men, right?
Yeah.
And so we go down these rabbit holes because we're so distracted that we try to fill our lives full of emptiness because we don't have a purpose or goal anymore. And then you end up cheating on your wife. Your sex life goes down the drain because you're too busy watching porn, right? And so you're trying to compare your wife to whatever's on the screen,
right?
And she ain't having it, right? And so I come from a family of alcoholics, as my wife does, so you start drinking too much, right, to hide the pain, and so you always have to remember, I've had too much to drink this past month. I'm not going to end up like such and such, and so, or hey, I've been scrolling a little bit too much, getting tempted. I need to focus back on work or my wife or my kids or something else, so I'm not so distracted. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
But as men, we always have those temptations in the back of our brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you? I know you love the Lord. Is there anything that you're doing to continue your relationship with him daily?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wha-
So I hired a coach for that. You know all
Okay.
about coaching. And
Okay.
so I got a new coach last year that not just helps me with business, but a spiritual coach as well.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I have a great pastor. So if he's listening to this, Jeff, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a great pastor. But I just have a guy that sort of fell into my life, and a business coach who's also a strong man of God, and he's got me reading certain things, and I'm doing my Bible every single morning. It's instead of doing it just like reading through the Bible, it's chronologically, so it's in order of history. So
Yeah.
it's almost like reading a novel, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so he's got me focused on doing that. And so that's my time that I do 20 minutes every morning when I wake up. And if I wake up late, I have to listen to it in the car on the way to work just to make sure I get it in.
Yeah.
So definitely have those things that I have to focus
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Because if I don't, again, if we get up, we sit there, we drink coffee, pet the dog, talk to the wife, whatever the case is, and if we weren't reading our Bibles or doing something, we'd just be scrolling through Facebook.
Yeah. But
and taking up time. So
but
you got the time, why not do it, right?
yeah, but why read?
Yeah, yeah,
Why would you?
yeah,
Why are you committed to reading the Word every day?
yeah. I just it's personally because it keeps me focused on the Lord. If I don't, there's so many distractions out there,
Yeah.
and I go through. I love exercises where I'll go through seasons where I'll sit there when I get my coffee first thing in the morning in a complete silence. So one of my coaches taught me this. He said, just sit there in complete silence for like at least 2 minutes and just open up and let the Holy Spirit give you a word for the day, and then write it down. And so literally sitting there for like 2 minutes and not saying, clear your mind and just wait for that word, identifying word, as I like to say. And so sitting there and just wait for the Holy Spirit to say courageous, success, powerful, great father, loving husband, and just get that word, write it on my phone, and then focus on that word for the rest of the day, and do that every day, and then write down all the words. Like I pull out my phone, I have just a scroll. You could see all the words that I've received every day during those interactions, and that word defines you for the day.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get that positivity, you're hearing all the negativity. So I can scroll through my phone at any time during the day and just read out all those positive words that the Holy Spirit put in my brain for that 2-minute period every morning before I would get into my Bible app or whatever the case is. So yeah.
I read a secular article about the power of writing things down.
Yeah.
If you've grown up in the church, you're, oh, why aren't you taking notes and this,
Yeah.
that, and the other, and
Yeah.
you almost feel condemned.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've always struggled with writing, but when I was reading that article, I started putting some of that into play.
Yeah.
And I've noticed how it started changing my perception of whatever it is that I'm dealing with or looking at or not understanding,
Mm-hmm.
is taking it and writing it down.
Right.
So
And not just writing it, but speaking it out when you write it down. So it's
Yeah.
the spoken word and the writing of it. It does something subconsciously. Like, if before I do a big report at the office or I have some big thing coming up where I have to speak on stage somewhere, I'll go in the bathroom and, I'll write stuff down and then I'll speak it over myself looking at the mirror. So
Yeah.
I'll look in the mirror and say, you're going to X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll write it down as well and then re-speak it out. Looking at my eyes, something about when you look in your own eyes in the mirror and you speak that into yourself, the Holy Spirit works some way, and then you just walk out on fire, man. It's something about
That's
the
good.
spoken word and writing down at the same time.
Yeah. So for any man going through something right now and you just feel like you can't, you've cried out to the Lord or whatever you've done and you feel like you're just continuing to hit a wall, I just highly recommend do what Doc just recommended, write some things out and then speak them out, verbally speak them out. There's so much power actually the word talks about the power of the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really good at using it to destroy each other.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we change the way we think
Yep.
by speaking the positive word of God over ourselves and then watch what the Holy Spirit does.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, is there anything that just burning on your heart that you want to speak? Because this is Man Unchained.
Mm-hmm.
my heart is I want to see millions of guys watching this, not for the numbers,
Yeah.
but just because we want to spread the love of Christ. But we are talking to the man because Jesus left the 99 and went after the one.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything you want to, just burning on your heart?
Yeah. If there was one thing you could take away from this, guys, is just be yourself because everyone else is taken. Okay. Be yourself because I've said this to my kids and I did a radio show and I talked for years. Be yourself because everyone else is taken. And what that means, because in life, we try to be something we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've watered down the way God designed us or made us, our individual personalities, because we're trying to be like the next Bo Cable, right? Or the next successful person. So we try to mirror ourselves after other people and we lose our own identity. And then you're just a fake person and everything about your life is fake. So if you can just be yourself, you'll feel comfortable in your skin. The Holy Spirit will then download what you need to know every day into your spirit because you're walking where you need to be. You're on the right path. And so if you can just be yourself and quit trying to be like everybody else, life would be a lot easier and you would discover what your purpose is. Definitely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Doc, I really appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming.
Enjoyed it.
And I appreciate you being open. I know as holding the professional title as a doctor, you have to be careful, but you're like, I don't care, man.
I'm being myself because everyone else is taken, right?
Hey,
So
I love it.
You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. Oh well.
I love it.
And that's the way I run my practice. If you like the way I do things, great. We love you. If you don't, that's understandable. There's somewhere else you can go that somebody else love on you.
Yeah,
but we love you regardless.
that's wonderful. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.